The following rotation on the station began quietly. At first, it felt like any other day. Machines humming, monitors blinking, and humans and Velerans moving about in their separate routines. Yet Ethan felt a subtle change in the air, something that even he could sense despite being a man grounded in logic. The sync band pulsed faintly, an ever-present reminder that Lysara's mind and his own were already starting to overlap in ways that could not be undone. Ethan arrived at the engineering bay early. His fingers brushed over the familiar controls, but his thoughts kept drifting to Lysara. He tried to ignore the feeling, telling himself it was a natural reaction to prolonged exposure to an alien presence. But it was more than curiosity. He could almost sense her pacing in her quarters, her thoughts a gentle stream of anticipation. He shivered slightly. The bond was already stronger than the technicians had predicted. A soft chime alerted him to a message from the Veleran command. Lysara requested his presence immediately. He checked the security clearance and followed the narrow corridors that connected the human sector to the Velaran command center. The corridor lights flickered faintly, casting long shadows on the metallic walls. When he arrived, she was already waiting, her glowing eyes fixed on a holographic projection of Velara 9. "Ethan," she said calmly, her voice carrying a hint of tension. "The Council has reviewed the data from our last synchronization. They are concerned. They say our bond exceeded the safety protocols. They may require termination of the experiment." Ethan frowned. "Termination? You mean they want to disconnect us?" Lysara's eyes reflected a storm of emotion, concern, frustration, and something softer he could not name. "Yes, they fear cross-species emotional contamination. To them, our connection is dangerous. But I know that it saved lives during the solar storm, and it saved both of us from isolation." Ethan clenched his fists. "They don't understand. This isn't just about the experiment. It's something more. It's about trust, and about feeling something we've never felt before." Lysara studied him silently. Her glowing gaze softened. "You are correct. But they hold authority. We must be careful. Any misstep could result in permanent separation, and that is something I will not accept lightly." He nodded. "Then we find another way." Over the next hours, they worked quietly together, careful to avoid the surveillance cameras. They refined the synchronization process, experimenting with subtle emotional modulation. The sync bands became more than a tool. They were an extension of themselves. When he focused on her calm, she could anticipate his movements in the lab. When she adjusted the energy flow of a system, he could sense the precise moment to act. It was no longer a matter of work or protocol. It was collaboration at a level neither species had ever experienced. Their minds were beginning to anticipate each other's thoughts, creating a rhythm that extended beyond the machines. During a late-night session, Lysara asked softly, "Ethan, what is it like to love?" He paused, considering her question. Humans experienced love in many ways, through friendship, through family, through a bond of trust and understanding. But how could he explain it to someone whose species did not fully comprehend emotional attachment? "It's hard to describe," he began. "It's more than liking someone. It's caring about them when they are far away, worrying when they are in danger, feeling happier when they are happy. It's wanting to be connected to them even if it's difficult." She tilted her head, processing the words. "And if that connection is broken?" Ethan looked at her, his voice soft but firm. "Then it hurts. But sometimes the connection comes back stronger if you both choose to repair it." For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. Lysara's glow dimmed slightly, as if she were absorbing his emotions. Ethan felt a warmth radiate through his chest. This was more than science. This was mutual understanding, an unspoken promise forming between them. The next day, the council summoned them. A panel of Veleran leaders, all tall and silver-skinned, their eyes glowing with varying degrees of authority, filled the chamber. Ethan and Lysara stood before them side by side. "You have exceeded the boundaries of your experiment," one elder began. "The human cannot continue this process. The neural bond is incompatible with our regulations." Lysara stepped forward, her presence commanding yet calm. "With all due respect, the bond is not incompatible. It stabilized both of us during the recent solar event. We have proven its utility. Terminating it now would endanger both the station and future cooperation with humans." The council murmured among themselves. Ethan noticed the tension in Lysara's posture, the subtle flicker of emotion in her eyes. She was a commander, a warrior, yet she stood here advocating for something deeply personal, something she had chosen. When the council demanded a demonstration, Ethan and Lysara exchanged a brief glance. It was an unspoken agreement. They would show the bond not as a threat but as proof of unity. They activated the sync bands. A soft blue light connected them and the chamber fell silent. Ethan felt her calm flow into him, her thoughts clear yet gentle. Lysara felt his grounding presence, the slow rhythm of his human heartbeat echoing in her mind. They moved together, adjusting energy flows in a test system the council had prepared. Every action was seamless, as if they were extensions of one another. When the demonstration ended, the council members leaned forward, astonished. The bond had stabilized the system perfectly. The connection had not caused harm. It had enhanced efficiency, precision, and safety. For the first time, a human and a Velaran had demonstrated that emotional synchronization could be an asset rather than a liability. After a tense moment, the council spoke. "This is unprecedented. We will allow further study, but under strict observation. The human may continue as liaison to Valara 9. The connection is tolerated." Ethan felt a surge of relief, but he kept his composure. He looked at Lysara, whose eyes reflected pride, relief, and something deeper, something like gratitude. In the days that followed, their bond deepened naturally. They shared memories, small details of their lives, and moments that neither had shared with anyone else. Ethan told her stories of Earth, the smell of rain on city streets, the quiet of winter mornings, the laughter of his younger sister. Lysara shared visions of her homeworld, the glowing forests, the bioluminescent rivers, the intricate cities carved into living trees. Through these shared experiences, they learned each other's worlds. Ethan discovered the beauty and loneliness of Valaran culture, a society of immense intelligence but reserved emotions. Lysara discovered the depth and warmth of human feelings, a species capable of both great compassion and stubborn courage. One evening, after a long session, they sat side by side at the observation deck, looking out at Valara 9. The planet glowed beneath them, and the stars above seemed endless. Ethan felt the soft pulse of Lysara's presence in his mind, a quiet, steady rhythm that matched his own. "I never imagined I could feel this way about someone from another species," he said softly. Lysara turned to him, her golden eyes shimmering. "Nor did I. But now that I do, I cannot imagine it any other way. The council may see this as science, but I know it is more. It is trust. And trust is stronger than any regulation." Ethan smiled. "Then we keep it, no matter what." Lysara's glow brightened slightly, a silent acknowledgement. They leaned slightly closer, not out of habit, but as a natural extension of their connection. Their thoughts aligned briefly, sharing warmth and reassurance. It was a bond neither could break, a partnership forged in circumstance but strengthened by choice. In the following rotations, Ethan was reassigned as the official liaison to Valara 9, a position that allowed him to spend more time with Lysara. Together they worked on integrating human and Valaran technology, enhancing both species' capabilities. But beyond work, they explored their connection, discovering that understanding another being's emotions could be as powerful as any weapon or technology. During a quiet moment, Lysara said, "Our bond has changed more than just us. It has changed how humans and Velarans see each other. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new era." Ethan looked out at the glowing planet, feeling a deep sense of purpose. "If it is, then I am glad to be part of it. Not just as an engineer, but as a partner." Lysara smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting starlight. "And I as well. Our season began with necessity, but it continues with choice. That is the true strength of this bond." As the station orbited Valara 9, humans and Valarans alike watched the skies, unaware of the quiet revolution happening within their hearts. Two very different beings had found understanding, and in doing so, had created a bridge between worlds that could not be broken. For Ethan and Lysara, the future was no longer about regulation, protocol, or survival. It was about partnership, trust, and the courage to feel deeply across the boundaries of species. And as the stars shimmered above and the glowing forests of Valara 9 stretched below, they knew that some connections were chosen by the universe itself, and no one, not even the council, could undo them. Their bond would not only define their lives but also serve as a symbol to both species, That empathy, trust and understanding could overcome fear, distance and difference, and that sometimes the strongest link is the one formed by choice, heart and courage, rather than obligation. In the quiet glow of the observation deck, Ethan and Lysera sat together. The space station floated in the silent orbit of Velara 9, a planet that glowed like a jewel in the dark sea of space. Its forests shimmered with blue light, and its rivers pulsed faintly as if the world itself was alive. Inside the human section of the station, engineer Ethan Cole leaned over a console, his eyes tired but calm. He had spent the last 12 hours fixing the communications array that had failed during the night cycle. Ethan liked quiet work. Machines didn't argue. They didn't complain. They either worked or they didn't. And on a station where humans and aliens lived together, he found peace in things that obeyed logic. His co-workers used to joke that Ethan was married to his job and he never argued with them. But that quiet life began to change when Commander Lysera Ven entered the engineering bay. She was not human. Her silver-blue skin shimmered faintly under the lights and her eyes glowed with soft gold, reflecting emotion in a way no human eyes could. Her presence made the air feel a little heavier, not because she was intimidating but because she carried herself with calm confidence. Ethan stood up straight, surprised to see her there. Velaran officers rarely came into the human sector. They usually sent messages through their translators. But she was here in person. "Engineer Cole," she said, her voice smooth, almost melodic. "I require your assistance for a personal matter." He blinked, wiping the grease from his hands. "A personal matter? Ma'am, I thought my work was limited to system maintenance." "This is related," she said carefully. "Our cycle of renewal begins soon. You humans call it mating season. It is not only physical, it is mental and emotional. We Velarans must pair with another being to maintain balance. Without a partner, the mind becomes unstable. The Council allows partnerships between species for research purposes. I have chosen you." Ethan almost dropped his wrench. "Wait, you've chosen me? For what exactly?" Lysera tilted her head slightly as if trying to find the right words. "To share a connection. Not in your human sense of reproduction. It is a neural link. It allows my kind to survive the bonding season. I need someone calm, someone whose emotional frequency is stable." "You fit those requirements." He took a step back, still unsure whether to laugh or panic. "I'm an engineer, not a biologist. Surely there are others." "I reviewed over 70 candidates," she interrupted softly. "Your record showed patience, discipline, and low emotional volatility. Those traits make you the safest choice. You will not be harmed. The process is monitored by the medical unit." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "You make it sound like I'm just plugging into a power circuit." Lysera smiled faintly. "Perhaps in a way you are. Our minds connect through these." She showed him 2 small wristbands made of translucent metal. They are called sync bands. They allow a limited emotional exchange. It stabilizes both participants. No thoughts are read, only emotions. Ethan hesitated. The idea of feeling someone else's emotions was strange, maybe even dangerous. But he also saw something in her eyes, a hint of worry, maybe even fear. She was a commander, yet she was standing here asking a human engineer for help. That meant this bonding was serious. Finally, he nodded. "All right, I'll help, but only if it's safe." "It is," she said quietly, "and I thank you." Over the next few days, Ethan and Lysera worked together to prepare for the link. The station's labs were bright and filled with soft humming machines. Doctors from both species monitored their vitals and emotional responses. Ethan had to wear the sync band on his left wrist. Lysera wore hers on her right. When activated, a faint blue light connected them through a wave of energy. The first time the link came online, Ethan felt something strange, like a soft wave brushing against his thoughts. It wasn't painful. It was just warm, calm. He could sense Lysera's steady focus and her deep curiosity about him. She felt like a quiet ocean, vast and still. She, in return, could sense Ethan's grounded nature. Humans, she later told him, were more emotionally resilient than her species had believed. They could feel fear and hope at the same time and still move forward. To her, that was fascinating. They began meeting every evening for synchronization sessions. At first, the sessions were professional, monitored by the medical unit. But after a few cycles, the doctors allowed them to continue in private once they saw their stability improve. During those hours, they talked. Ethan told her about Earth, the crowded cities, the open fields, the sound of rain on windows. Lysara listened closely, asking questions about emotions she couldn't fully understand. Her species had evolved to suppress strong feelings, fearing they could destabilize their energy balance. "What does it mean?" she asked one day. "To miss someone?" Ethan thought for a moment. "It's when you feel someone's absence so strongly it hurts a little. But that hurt means they mattered to you." She looked down at her hands, her golden eyes dimming slightly. "We do not miss. When one is gone, the memory fades with time. It is efficient. But empty." Ethan smiled gently. "Maybe inefficiency is what makes humans human." That small moment of shared understanding made something change between them. The bond grew stronger, not because of science, but because of empathy. One night, as they were preparing another synchronization cycle, a warning alarm echoed through the corridors. The lights flickered red and the intercom crackled with static. "Solar storm approaching," the system warned. "All personnel prepare for radiation surge. Power systems entering protective mode." Ethan grabbed a nearby console. "The shield generators are dropping too fast." Lysara's eyes glowed brighter. The external panels were already weakened from the last pulse. "If they fail, the radiation will overload the life support modules." Without hesitation, they ran to the reactor level. The corridors were dim and the emergency lights turned everything into shades of red and gold. The hum of the station grew louder as energy surged unevenly through the walls. "Manual override," Ethan shouted over the alarms. "We need to stabilize the grid." Lysara moved beside him, her movements precise and fast. "I can reroute the plasma flow, but your human system doesn't interface directly with ours." "Then use the sync link," Ethan said quickly. "If you can feel what I'm doing, maybe you can match it from your end." She looked uncertain. "It's risky. The connection could overload." "Then we overload together," he said without looking up. Lysara stared at him for a heartbeat, then activated her sync band. A blue light shot between them, and suddenly Ethan felt her presence in his mind, strong, sharp, and focused. Their thoughts didn't merge, but their emotions aligned perfectly. He felt her concentration, her confidence, and she felt his determination. Working as one, they stabilized the power conduits. Sparks flew from the panels, and the station shook from the storm's energy, yet their linked rhythm kept them steady. The connection pulsed like a heartbeat between them, two minds working as one. After several tense minutes, the alarm finally quieted. The main lights flickered back on, and the hum of the reactors returned to normal. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Lysara turned off the sync band and the blue glow faded. She looked at him, her eyes softer than before. "You risked your mind for me," he shrugged weakly. "You risked yours first." Silence filled the room, broken only by the faint hum of the machines. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a sense of trust deeper than words. Later, when they returned to the main deck, the other officers congratulated them for saving the station. But the council doctors noticed something unusual in the data. Their emotional link had gone far beyond the safe parameters. It was no longer a simple synchronization. It had evolved into something unique. That night, Ethan sat by the viewport watching Valara 9 glow beneath the stars. Lysara joined him quietly, holding 2 cups of a warm Valaran drink that smelled faintly like mint and ozone. "The doctors say our connection is stronger than expected," she said softly. "They want to study it." "Let them study," Ethan said. "I just hope they don't break it." Lysara looked at him curiously. "You speak as if you value it." "I do," he replied honestly. "I didn't think I'd ever understand an alien's emotions, but now I feel like maybe I do." She looked out at her world, her expression thoughtful. "In our history, we never believed other species could bond with us this deeply." "You may have changed that belief, human." He smiled faintly. "Guess I'm good at breaking systems." For the first time, she laughed, a soft musical sound that echoed through the quiet deck. It wasn't the laugh of a soldier or a commander, but of someone beginning to understand something new. As the night cycle began, the station drifted in silence. The storm had passed, but something else had begun, something that neither science nor protocol could explain. When Lysara stood to leave, she paused by the doorway and said, "Ethan, when our next cycle begins, the link will deepen. It may connect us permanently. Are you certain you wish to continue?" He met her glowing eyes and nodded. I'm certain. She held his gaze for a moment longer. Then understand this. Once our minds merge, there is no separation. You will see as I see, feel as I feel. It will change everything. Ethan smiled quietly. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Lysera said nothing more. She turned and walked down the corridor, her silhouette framed by the soft blue light. Ethan watched her go, feeling the faint echo of her presence through the sync band. It was gentle, like a heartbeat he could sense even from afar. Outside,